This is a joint meeting of Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament and Stop the War Coalition. I'm Jeremy Corbyn, MP for Islington North, and an officer of both organisations, so chairing the meeting fell to me, and it avoids you having to listen to a speech from me as well, so there's a double advantage there. And we have a range of speakers. They're all going to be fairly brief, so that there's time for a discussion about how we approach these issues afterwards. There are still quite a lot of people waiting to come in, and it seems the security has been thorough, slow, delaying, whatever particular words you care to use on that. But we have a good range of speakers tonight, so if it's okay with you, I think we'll make a start, and so we can get on with things, and then the others, when they come in, will have to catch up with what's going on. So again, thank you all for coming. These are absolutely serious and crucial issues concerning the continuation of British troops in Afghanistan, the fallout from the Iraq War, and in particular the question of the replacement of Trident nuclear missile system and the construction of new warheads. So it's joint from all organisations in that sense. And the first person I'm going to ask to speak is somebody who's been very effective continually raising these points in Parliament, not least today when we questioned the Prime Minister about it, is Paul Flynn, MP for Newport in South Wales. Paul, welcome and thank you for coming along. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. That's on. That's right.
Okay. 11 deaths in 10 days. And this is the question I asked the Prime Minister this afternoon. I mean, doesn't this convince him that it's time for him to rethink, to end his manic optimism about Afghanistan? Because he briefly raised this in his report from the G20. It was very encouraging today in that lots of MPs raised the issue of Afghanistan from all sides of the House. I think it's evident of this great feeling of revulsion against what happened. Those who just don't believe the foolish excuses that are given about our presence in Afghanistan, a presence without purpose. I mean, again, repeat to him, can he really believe that there's going to be a stable government there? Based on what? On the crumbling foundations of a election rigging president and his criminal family, on the mercenary and drug-ridden Afghan army, or also on the corrupt and depraved police force? Can he really believe that there's going to be stability there within 5 years or 50 years? And there's not going to be. It's not achievable. And I believe that Canada has led, and the Netherlands and Obama and the other world leaders also believe that there is no possible way of building a stable Afghanistan. What is likely to happen is that some kind of deal will be done. It won't be pretty, it won't be just, and there will be all kinds of difficulties arising from that deal. But it will leave Afghanistan in a state which has been for about 300 years, where there have been divisions within that country, but our presence there will have very little effect in healing them. But I believe we're in a similar position to what happened in Vietnam, where in the last year or so of that, the man who became Senator, John Kerry, spoke of the agony of deciding and working, the thing that kept him awake at night, the thing that should be keeping Cameron awake now, it is who will be the last British soldier who is ordered into battle to die for a politician's mistake. And we know that the politicians have been wrong every time. There was a debate here in March 2006 when John Reid announced that we were going into Helmand province, and his hope, repeated, he'd dearly like to unsay what he'd said at the time, was to be there for a maximum of 3 years without a shot being fired. And we know the outcome of that. At that time there were only 7 British dead, only 2 of them had been killed in action, the others had died in accidents. And it was said that debate in 2006, that this was likely to stir up a hornet's nest, was likely the charge of the Light Brigade, this time with Bush to the left of them and Blair to the right of them, hollering and thundering. into the valley of the shadow of death, into the mouth of Helmand. But nowhere did any of us really believe that within 4 years of that invasion of Helmand, we were approaching 3 times the numbers of British dead as died in the charge of the Light Brigade. The pretext, of course, for being in there is the claim that somehow or other this is protecting us from terrorism on the streets. And I've asked David Miliband, I go on asking them, have you asked any of the Taliban, not Al-Qaeda, they constantly mix up the two and conflate, believing the two are exactly the same. Have you asked them why they're killing our soldiers? And do you expect them to answer, are we killing your soldiers because when we kill them all, we're coming over to London and to Bristol, we're going to blow up your streets? Or will they say, we're killing them because they are foreigners, they are the Ferengi, they are in our country, and it's our sacred duty to kill them, as our fathers killed the Russians, as our great-grandfathers killed other invaders. It's, as we hope, our sons will die killing them. And there's no possible victory in a position like that, and that's the true position that we're in there. I'm here today because of Afghanistan. If I hadn't, I'm convinced that in my election campaign, which I led on my literature, every time I spoke, every time I put an advert in the newspaper, the #1 topic was bring our troops home from Afghanistan. And I've been doing this for a number of months. In the election campaign, it became the main topic. And I don't know if this happened in many constituencies throughout the country. All 3 major parties wanted to forget the fact we were at war. And the result in my constituency, had it been repeated all over the country, Labour would have won the election. Had I had the swing against Labour that occurred in my neighbouring constituency in Newport East, in Torvine, in Islwyn, in Merthyr, in Pontypridd, I would not be here now, I would not be an MP, because I would have lost the seat. So I'm offering that as evidence that this is not only a just cause, but it's a popular cause as well. And I believe the majority of people are hearing these figures tonight, and they go on relentlessly, week after week, month after month. We hear the announcement of another death, and then we see the plane coming down, we hear the sobbing relatives in Button Bassett lying in the street, that this must get through. And the 2 preposterous justifications for our being there must be exposed. It's the 2 answers they have is defending against terrorism, and the other one is somehow that if we move out of Afghanistan, we leave a hole there somewhere, a gap, which will allow Al-Qaeda to come in. The area we occupy in Afghanistan is so small that it's insignificant. We already know that the Taliban have grown in strength, and they've grown in the area they occupy. If the Taliban wish to have Al-Qaeda back, there's no difficulty, because they already occupy huge tracts of Afghanistan. Al-Qaeda is free to operate in other countries as well, almost throughout Pakistan, through Yemen and through Somalia. It's an utterly false argument to pretend that if we withdraw, it would make much difference to the threat from there. But that's the other reason that's given. I think we have to go on exposing this. I was delighted yesterday on the big question. I was asked to go on it, and I couldn't get there as it happened. But the reaction was from the speakers in there, I thought spoke very well, and from the platform and from the audience. But the feeling certainly among the audience there, with cross-panel, was very much saying that the war is hopeless and it's unwinnable. And we must get this through to the government. We can see the nervousness there. We can see what Cameron is thinking on this. To talk about coming out in 5 years, and it's an indication that he has no confidence that there can be a solution or a stable Afghanistan. But they want to stitch together some kind of false stability that they can spin as a victory for politicians, and then the exit will happen. And it's like, and I make this the final point, we're in exactly the same position as we were at the end of the First World War, when Siegfried Sassoon made his declaration against war and said, this war is being prolonged by those that have the power to end it. That's exactly where we are now.